Governors are furious over what Congress has done lately. Democrats are anxious to get a deal done. Republicans are fearful that the next administration will attempt to pass a large stimulus package on the heels of this $900 billion stimulus proposal. Hospitalizations continue to rise. Congress has given us somewhat of an optimistic stimulus timeframe, and all the while we look to be headed towards a last-minute deal. Welcome to your second stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and stimulus news report for Thursday, December 17th. Now, today we have a lot of updates regarding stimulus, so let's get right into it. First, Congress seems poised to pass a stimulus package worth roughly $900 billion, and this will most likely happen over the next 4 days. Yes, not including today, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That is the time frame that we have been given from multiple senators. This proposal, I'm saying proposal simply because we do not have the text of this bill just yet. Right now, according to multiple senators, we should see this bill any day. They've been saying this since Monday, but they said this again yesterday and late last night. We should see this bill any day. Now, in this roughly $900 billion stimulus package, this would include $300 per week in unemployment benefits and $600 to $700 in a one-time stimulus check. That is the good news. The bad news, though, according to recent reports, if stimulus checks are included, then the unemployment benefit actually drops by 1 month. Here's the way this would work. Normally, the way this proposal was written was, and this was how it was written for the $748 billion proposal and the $908 billion proposal, it was written in there where people on unemployment would see the $300 per week unemployment boost plus all unemployment programs would have been extended January, February, March, and April. According to the most recent reports, that month of April is gone, and now there'd only be 3 months. Okay, 3 months, 12 weeks of unemployment boost. Yes, this is 12 weeks, not 16. So, Republicans are willing to negotiate, but that is one of their counters is, let's include stimulus checks, but let's take off 1 month of unemployment benefits. Many lawmakers are very upset by this. They're saying it's unacceptable, but which makes me wonder, is this bill even going to pass now? I question this simply because before we knew there were some contentious policies, contentious legislation within the proposal, but now more people could be on the fence about supporting a bill that does not include a full 4 months of unemployment benefits. Some say they cannot support a package that doesn't provide a full 16 weeks of unemployment benefits. Others say that the trade-off is worth the 4 less weeks. And then you have somebody like Senator Elizabeth Warren. She says there's nothing progressive about giving a stimulus check to a person that currently has a job. This relief was supposed to be for those without work. Well, and however, even though many people are upset by the recent talks surrounding the COVID relief package, the Problem Solvers Caucus is applauding the effort that Congress has put in. So, let's go and read the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, or actually press release that they released yesterday afternoon. It says, both parties in both chambers are close to reaching a final deal. When it's inked, this will be a huge victory for the American people and for the way Congress should work. Democrats and Republicans sitting at the table, putting country ahead of party. We're proud of the critical role the Problem Solvers Caucus played working alongside our Senate partners to make this possible. The package will likely mirror the bipartisan framework we crafted together, including key priorities that will benefit millions of Americans, from unemployment to paycheck protection program, vaccine development, deployment, food and housing needs, and more. Of course, our work must continue to ensure our nation can get through this crisis and fully recover, and we commit ourselves to making that possible. As you can see, they are simply stating that this package will most likely mirror the framework that they put together earlier this week. So that is good news. If this is true, then not only will a deal be close, but it will most likely have a lot of bipartisan support from members in the House and members in the Senate. Now, this also will include stimulus checks, and more people were on the fence about not supporting a package without stimulus checks. So by including them into the package, there should be even more members of Congress that are willing to vote and pass this particular package. Now, what we do know at this point is that in the stimulus negotiations is that many governors are not happy. They are actually furious with what Congress has decided to do. What they're saying is, by dropping state and local government funding, this was all but promised just a month ago. Nancy Pelosi said this was going to happen. She was telling states, just wait. We will get it done. You will have the funding. Now, it does not look likely. It's actually being considered that this would not even pass, possibly not even in the next stimulus package, because it would still be a contentious policy. It would be some legislation that Republicans still would not want to address. But I bring this up. I want you to understand this because many governors are out there, specifically the New York governor, Cuomo. He's saying that we were already broke. New York was already broke, and now you don't want to give us any additional funding, but yet we are seeing a surge in COVID cases, and now we are being tasked with providing this vaccine, distributing this vaccine. How can you ask us to do that when you will not provide any funding for us? And again, I bring this up because Nancy Pelosi has been adamant that the states need at least $400 billion in order to get back what they've lost. Well, this was just 1 month ago that Nancy Pelosi was saying, we need $400 billion. Now, she's willing to accept $160 billion. However, to make matters even worse, that is not even on the table now. According to all reports right now, is that Nancy Pelosi is requesting just a guarantee from Mitch McConnell that we will address state and local government funding and liability protections as soon as this $900 billion stimulus package is passed. Well, that sounds all in good, but can she really trust Mitch McConnell after what he has done to her, people in the other Democrats, and even people in the Senate? This is where Mitch McConnell and fellow Republicans are actually fearful that once Joe Biden comes in and the Biden administration is going to attempt to pass a large-scale stimulus package, a comprehensive package that includes a large bailout for state and local governments. And this is something that the GOP would never support. So, trying to get Mitch McConnell to guarantee something at this point for Nancy Pelosi's sake is almost useless. What is the point? But in other stimulus news, even Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said this yesterday. I quote, "The case for fiscal policy right now is very, very strong, and I think that's widely understood." He also went on to say, "Now that we can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, it would be bad to see people losing their businesses, their life's work, even generations worth of work." Well, what he's simply saying, and he's been saying this for months, is now is the time to spend more. There is only a greater risk of not spending money than spending too much. So he's been telling Congress for months, spend, spend, spend. Money's so cheap right now, there is no point to hold back. Spend as much as you need, spend as much as you're willing to give, and we will support you. That's what he's saying. And this is why he has urged Congress to keep spending just to prevent the economy from a complete collapse. So we will see what happens. Usually when he talks, everybody listens, everybody hears what he says, but as far as actually doing what he is implying, that hardly ever happens. Now, let's address what Congress has told us, or read between the lines of what Congress has told us regarding a stimulus timeframe. Mitch McConnell, he has told his caucus yesterday afternoon, he told them to be ready to vote on an omnibus bill and stimulus package this weekend. Yes, this weekend. This is the reason why within 4 days we should have some type of an agreement, we should have votes, and we should have President Trump's signature on these bills. So let's just assume the votes happen over the weekend and President Trump, let's say he's out golfing on Sunday and he decides to come back and he signs the bill, let's say Monday at the latest. Well, for stimulus checks, here's what we know. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has stated multiple times it would take him anywhere between 7 and 10 days to issue the first round of stimulus checks. These checks would go out through direct deposit and would most likely go out to the first 50 million Americans. That is a lot of stimulus checks, even whether it's $1,200, $600, even $700. That's still a lot of money to be infused into the economy almost instantly. So this means that our time frame for stimulus checks, if this bill gets signed into law by President Trump on December 21st, we could see stimulus checks somewhere in the time frame of December 28th through January 1st. That is the good news. For unemployment benefits, let's address that. Well, for the weekly unemployment boost, that actually expired in August 1st. Well, based on what we know on how long it took for FEMA's system to get set up and running, most states, they got ready, they got going in about 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. So let's use the 2 to 3 week time frame from December 21st. That means in order to see $300 per week bonus checks on top of your unemployment, if this passes on December 21st, you would most likely see your checks hitting your bank account somewhere between January 4th and January 11th. I just want to be clear that even though many states got up and running within 2 to 3 weeks, a lot of states were very slow. Some took months to get going. So I don't want to say 2 to 3 weeks for every single state. I'm just here to tell you the majority of states got up and running pretty quickly. So if this happens, expect your unemployment boost, let's say by the middle of January at the latest. Now, for rental assistance, here's the difficult part with rental assistance. Based on recent reports, this program will most likely only allow landlords to submit applications on behalf of their tenants that are late. Now, if this happens, then it will depend on how quickly your landlord will actually decide to file for this application. And I say on how quickly because you're probably thinking, well, why wouldn't they apply for this? What is the downside? Here's the downside as these reports are coming out. And again, we don't have the full text of this bill, so we cannot be 100% certain that this is what's going to happen. But there are multiple reports saying this is most likely what is going to go down. So some landlords might decide to opt out of this rental assistance program, which means you're still going to be on the hook. But the reason they would opt out is because in most cases, by accepting federal stimulus funding, this would most likely require your landlord to take a 25 to probably 50% cut to their back rents. So let's say you owe $1,000 per month and you haven't paid for 5 months. Well, if your landlord went to go apply and the government says, okay, well, we are only going to pay you 50% of what you are owed, and you have to call it good. Your tenant is now paid up. They are good. They are current. That means if you owed 5 months of $1,000 per month, now you would have technically owed $5,000. But if the government says your landlord has to take a 50% pay cut right off the top, they would only get $2,500. So 2.5 months worth of rent, and they would have to call it good, and they could not evict you. Now, if this happens, again, many landlords will not take this offer. They will not take that. They will not do it. They would most likely take you to court and require you to pay as much as you possibly could. this is the other downside. Again, this is what we know based on the information that has come out recently and based off of what we know regarding some rental assistance programs through different states. This is what some of those states have been doing. So just keep that in mind that depending on how this bill is written, this will ultimately determine as to how long it takes to receive rental assistance and to really keep you in your home. Now, I wanted to cover these three main things because that is what most people here on the channel have been asking about. Stimulus checks, when can we see them? When can we expect them in our bank accounts? Unemployment benefits, how long will we receive unemployment benefits? Currently, that's up in the air. But we do know it would most likely take 2 to 3 weeks to see the program actually start working and issuing those checks. And then lastly, rental assistance. That is another thing that's really up in the air. We're almost guessing based on what current programs are doing, but these are the reports that are coming out right now. So I just wanted to be absolutely clear with one thing. Any stimulus coming will not come before Christmas. The likelihood of stimulus coming before Christmas is practically zero. The likelihood of us seeing stimulus checks before the end of the year is much higher, but at the same time it's still somewhat small, simply because this depends on President Trump signing this bill on Monday. It's in 4 days. This also is dependent on Congress reaching a deal, voting on this package over the weekend. If one of those things doesn't happen, this only delays stimulus checks even further. So let's get into the COVID news for today. First off, experts warn that there will be another surge in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths soon after Christmas. We saw this right after Thanksgiving. We're continuing to see the high numbers, but they're saying Christmas will be even worse. They say too many people right now are assuming that with the recent vaccine news and the vaccinations happening across the country, that they can get on with their lives just like they did during the pre-pandemic. That is not necessarily the case. What experts are telling you is to keep in mind that this is a 2-dose vaccination, which means most people, okay, not even most people, the people that have been getting the vaccinations now have only gotten one. They have not gotten the second dose. They have to wait 3 weeks in order to get that second dose. And even after that, this virus will continue to spread until at least 100 million Americans receive it. So we are not even close to being there. We will not be there until most likely sometime in the summer of 2021. So we're about 7 to 8 months away from getting to that point. Now, I just wanted to keep you updated on this because a lot of people have been saying, well, the vaccine's coming out. People are getting the vaccine. It's going to happen. We can go back to normal life within the next maybe month or two. That's completely false. I don't know where people have been getting that information, but that is 100% false. You cannot just go out there and go back to your normal life in the next month or two. It just won't happen. So just wanted to give you that kind of word of warning from experts. But again, thank you for watching today's video. As I know more, I promise I'll share more. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.